Ultralight backpacking can definitely seem intimidating at first. People think it means spending thousands of dollars on gear just to suffer with next to nothing. But the truth is, ultralight backpacking is really just being more intentional about what you bring on the trail. So let's start with the basics. When backpackers are talking about weight, what we're typically referring to is the base weight on your back in your pack, which usually refers to everything but your food, water, and fuel that you're bringing on the trip. A beginner base weight for a backpacker would probably be around 20 to 30 pounds. When you get to the more traditional backpacker, you're going towards 15 to 20 pounds, but when you're in that ultralight range, you're usually going 10 or sub 10 pounds. Now, you don't have to hit that number to benefit from using ultralight gear either. Even dropping just 5 to 10 pounds off your pack makes a world of difference and will make you go farther. Now, if you want to cut out weight quickly, I suggest doing it with your big three. The first thing in the big three is your backpack, and sometimes a traditional backpack can weigh 5 or more pounds, which is crazy because that's already contributing so much weight to the thing that you're using to carry all the weight. Now, ultralight packs typically weigh 2 pounds or less. I think the super UL guys want to use a 16-ounce pack or less, but most of the people that dabble in the ultralight range that I know get their packs weighing 2 pounds or less, which that alone is a massive difference already. If you have a 5-pound traditional pack versus a 2-pound pack, that's 3 pounds off your base weight, 3 pounds more that you can fill for some other gear or just have less weight on your back. With that though, ultralight packs typically come with less features on them because you don't need as much. There's less zippers because there's more things to fail by adding more. There's less pockets. There's usually one giant mesh pocket and then just one giant hole that you can fill with all of your gear. And sometimes they even come frameless, which is called a frameless pack. That's something that you don't necessarily need to know about right away. But if you want to jump right into UL backpacking, frameless pack would be one of the fastest ways to get there. Next, we have your shelter, and that's a huge place where you can cut weight. You can go get a cheaper tent from Amazon for $130 that can weigh 4 to 5 pounds, or you could spend a little bit extra to get a tent that weighs 2 pounds or less. That already cuts 2 pounds off your base weight, if not more, and it's going to cost you a little more, but if you're trying to save weight, this is the fastest way you can do it. And specifically, you can go from a freestanding to a non-freestanding tent. Yes, there's always outliers. There's going to be tents that are freestanding that weigh ultralight sub weights of 2 pounds or less, but typically, a trekking pole tent is the fastest way to get there. Next, we have our sleep system, which involves a sleeping bag or a quilt, a sleeping pad, and a pillow. A lot of backpackers, especially ultralight backpackers, use down quilts and synthetic quilts, and you might be asking yourself, why do they do that? Well, typically, the argument is that the insulation underneath of you is getting compressed in a sleeping bag, therefore deeming it useless. So why not take that off, save the weight, and one less thing and a little less weight to take on your trip with you. So if I combine a lightweight quilt with a nice and lightweight sleeping pad, you can keep your sleep system to about 2 to 3 pounds, if not less, depending on how deep you want to go. Obviously, you can take a foam cell pad and cut even more weight, like a Gossamer Thin Light pad, but that's not really comfortable in my opinion. I'm sure that someone loves that, but that's just not for me. But if that's one thing you want to do, you can totally do that too. Once your big gear's dialed in, the next thing that you have to take a look at is the small gear in your pack, because the small gear is where it really adds up. And this is where ultralight backpackers start counting ounces instead of pounds. Some examples are, if you have a giant cook pot, you can get a smaller one. You have a bigger stove, you can get a smaller one. They make everything bigger and smaller in this world specifically to save weight. There's options for everything. You don't want a stove? You don't have to take a stove. You can cold soak your food. It might not be your favorite thing to eat in the world, but there's always an option to go with less weight. Another example, instead of bringing a big pocket knife or a buck knife or a multi-tool, you can get a tiny little Swiss Army knife that almost every ultralight brand sells with their own logo on it. It's all good, especially for clothing. A big thing that I do is I get clothing that's multi-purpose, and I can use my rain jacket to insulate my alpha layer. I can use my wool leggings underneath as pants to walk in during the day, as well as pants to sleep in at night. Everything should have more than one purpose in your pack if you can. And once you get that little ecosystem built together that's 8 to 10 pounds and everything works together, it's pretty fascinating to see how far you can go, how comfortable and how warm you can also be with all of it. One thing I love about ultralight backpacking is that it forces you to think differently about gear. Instead of asking myself, like, what should I bring? I start asking myself, like, do I really need this? Next time I challenge you, when you go backpacking, come home, look at all the gear in your pack and see and ask yourself, did I actually use this on my trip? Did it make a difference? Did it make me more comfortable? And did it have an impact on my trip? If it did not, and you did not touch it, and you're packing your fears instead of your gears, take the fears out, because that's all a part of the experience. When you cut your pack weight, a lot of things actually happen And even if you notice them or not, they do happen. Gossamer Gear has one of my favorite slogans of all time. They say, take less and do more, and I definitely think that's a real thing. The less you have in your pack, the more you can do, the longer you can hike, depending on your stamina, of course, but you're going to be able to hike longer with less on your pack because there's less weighing you down. And honestly, I feel like the entire experience feels better when I'm more conscious of what I'm bringing. I'm not worried about losing tons of stuff because I didn't bring tons of stuff to begin with. Everything I brought has a purpose and a multi-purpose. For me, ultralight backpacking isn't about just pushing the limits to see how little of weight I can bring or what I can get by without, but it's about finding the balance between comfort, simplicity, and efficiency. I truly believe some gear is worth the extra ounces if it's going to improve your overall experience on the trail. And for me, the goal is not always to have the lightest pack as possible. There's plenty of trips that I have under my belt that has been the goal, but that's not because I'm trying to be better than someone else. It's purely to see how far I can push it for my personal comfort zone. The goal overall is to have the best experience on the trail. So if you guys want to see any of my complete ultralight gear setups that I do have, I have a couple of videos on my channel. I'm going to be making a new one here soon for the updated 2026 list. And if you guys are just into gear in general, please make sure you look at a lot of my other videos. I have tons of options for gear for you to choose to watch. Thank you guys for watching the Gear Garden this week. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below, and we'll see you next time.